Hi guys, and welcome to a new episode on this channel. Today we will be talking about this book called Stephen Hawking, a graphic novel. Let's get started. Alright, now this book talks a lot about not Stephen Hawking, but his discoveries, which we should have talked about his childhood and most of the discoveries that were based on Stephen Hawking's. Now, first of all, there are some things that happen here. The author interviewed Stephen Hawking first, and later it talks about ALS. ALS is a disease that is rare, very rare in fact. It's like 5 out of 100,000 people get the ALS disease. And it is nicknamed as Lou Gehrig's disease. In this book, another book that I just found here, it talks a lot about it talks a page about ALS. It is like this, it stops body function for the muscles to move. That's why he had to twitch a little bit and his speech became unknown. And only 5 out of 100,000 people in the world get the ALS disease. And 1 in 4 patients survive longer than 5 years. And Stephen luckily became one of the 1 in 4s. And he lived 55 more years than his doctors predicted, which makes him living 57 more years. Yeah. And he was only 21 when he got the ALS disease. Yep. Then there's something else that I want to show you. This is part of Stephen Hawking's lifetime. And there was something else I want to say here. Now, Stephen Hawking had to use a computer to talk. Like, talk. Alright? He had to use a different kind of mouse pad, which is on his hands, to make the computer talk. And he was also nicknamed Einstein in his olden days. First of all, we talk about Newton. Newton had a laws of gravity and the laws of perpetual forces, and he also used the four kinds of forces in the universe, which is electromagnetic, strong nuclear, weak nuclear, and gravitational. Now, here's an example. Sumo slammers. The sumo slammers are weighted down, but they are still straight up. It's because of their strength and also, of course, their muscles. And they are like 298 pounds. And it's about 10,000 times less than the pull necessary to pick up 1 square of toilet tissues. Yes, that is very heavy. And then they have a lot of scientists who are trying to find a calculation. Thank you. Okay, good. And then Einstein comes in, but not yet. Not yet. First of all, Newton publishes this book called the Principia. And then they're like, hey, why don't we use Einstein's theory? But we don't need an ass-hacker, you dude. Then they find out about Einstein. Einstein got his theory of relativity, where he had like this little bed stuff. Like if you know in a trampoline, sometimes when you stand on a trampoline, your weight goes down, and then the trampoline ladder goes down a little bit too. And that's what the Earth and the whole objects in the universe is about. He even looked at Galileo's experiment. It turned out to be right. Oh, look how much water I drank. Okay. And I believe that the theory of relativity is what makes the balls slow down and then make each other and make their time distances to touch the ground same. And yeah, I guess a lot of people can use that too because of the trampoline expert. And then he literally even made this equation into a very simple one indeed. Very simple indeed. And this is what happens when you put a heavy ball onto the middle of a piece of paper. Like this. Get the piece of paper, put the Lego band down, and then it starts to bend a little bit. Yeah, it starts to bend. Because of its weight, it reduces drag, if you can say it like that. And that's how everything was explained here. Einstein even had this kind of parade for him. Yeah. Then there was about the cosmic egg, and in this comic, Einstein accidentally breaks the cosmic egg, and he was the one who makes the Big Bang. Yeah. No, that is not correct. So, now first of all, this is how a black hole forms. First of all, a star loses its energy, starts shrinking until explodes, and then leaves a black hole behind it. And how they got their name is because it looks black. Yeah. And then when Einstein died, he was cremated so that no one would look at his bones or worship his bones. But however, his brain was not cremated, and yes, even his brain was not created, and his eyes. Yuck! Not his eyes. Please cremate those. No scientists kept on working on Einstein's work. And later they found out, and then later they got a lot of series. Very much series, in fact, that Stephen Hawking was like this. He went to a university lecture one day, and then this was the thing that happened. First of all, he's like, yeah, your theory can be divided or gratuited. And they're like, no, it cannot. And then it went like this. What's something like this? Just found it. Okay. First of all, it diverges. Your theory does diverge. It doesn't. It does. How do you know? Because I worked it out. And this guy was like, oh my goodness, I'm fooled by a student? A student? And literally, Stephen Hawking was the student. So I guess that does kind of make sense since Stephen Hawking is the famous scientist. Then they worked on Stephen Hawking's ideas, and finally, one day, he made a theory called the Hawking radiation, which works something out like this. First of all, there is a black hole. I knew there was a picture here somewhere. And then second of all, let me show you representing right now. Let's say that this water bottle is the black hole, and then there is this eraser is a matter, and this other eraser is the antimatter. All right, let me put it right here. Now, usually antimatters and matters are put down exactly at the same time, and then they annihilate each other, which means they disappear from space once they meet together. But then, when a black hole is formed, some of the particles can go near the black hole. One of them might escape, the other might go after her, or it can escape itself, releasing a radiation which shrinks the black hole until it explodes and evaporates. No one knows what an evaporating black hole looks like because we cannot ever go near a black hole, not even a sea's distance away, because you go into the black hole and be annihilated forever. Or so as it's thought. It wasn't what that used to be thought eternal prisons. It was. Now you can get out of a black hole, as Stephen humor himself. If you are feeling stuck in a black hole, don't worry. There is a way out. There are different types of black holes, if you ask me. And one type of black hole is emotion black hole, like the deep depression that Stephen had gotten through. The other black hole is a space black hole, which talks a lot about the sucking gravity and all that stuff, and even light. Yes, that was what it used to be thought until 1974, a year before my mother was born in 1975. I'll remind that myself because I forgot that she was born in 1975. Sorry, Mommy. And that's where I literally want to end a part of the introductions for this episode. And then one thing that I want to say before it, Stephen Hawking should have gotten the Nobel Prize, don't you think? Well, first of all, no. The Nobel Prize is on the basis of stuff that can be experimented to proved. And the Nobel Prizes don't actually go into pure cosmology in its fields or pure physics itself. And also it has to be experimented literally to be proved. Stephen Hawking can't do that in any of the series he ever made. Because the multiverse theory is not proven, is impossible to prove for now. Even though if we ever go through a black hole and able to travel through a wormhole, then we might be able to get to the other side of the universe, if that is possible, that is. And then the another one thing, Stephen Hawking's physics stuff theory. No, it wasn't that cool. It isn't really testable, but it is just a theory, and a lot of people are accepting it, but that won't win the Nobel Prize. Yes. Alfred Nobel made his money by family work by making TNT, and he made sure that the experiments that win the Nobel Prize needs to be experimented to be proved, while Stephen Hawking's experiments do not qualify. Oh, he only uses his thought experiments because his hands are worthless because of his ALS. Well, not technically worthless since he has a little computer mouse that he can control, but at least it's kind of useless. And then this is how everything literally happens here, just like these taps. And that's where I literally want to end this episode. Now, Stephen Hawking might have been one of those guys who made Hawking radiation, find out how it shrinks and shrinks. And he might also be the guy who might have won the next Nobel Prize. But however, there is still one thing wrong with his theories. That it is not testable. We might not know about his multiverse theory or that if aliens do exist. But however, we are sure that he is one of the greatest physicists since Einstein. And that's where I want to end this episode. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you in the next episode. Shunhan out!